Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Bluegrass State WVOF at 8.5 coverage of Fairfield women's basketball. Welcome to the University of Kentucky. We're here in Memorial Coliseum. Logan Rundy, Andrew Jamison to my left. And what a game we have. The Stags have traveled south to take on the Kansas State Wildcats. Big story today, Andrew. Aoka Lee hasn't played since February 22nd. She's back on the floor for the Wildcats.
Yes, she is, but that's not the only threat on this Kansas State Wildcats team, as this is a team, if Aoka Lee did not get injured, could very well be a 2 or a 3 seed. So Fairfield, while they have the advantage from last year that they don't have to play a true road game in their first game in the round of 64, it is certainly a tall task this afternoon with the Kansas State Wildcats.
Yeah, Wildcats red hot. Big 12, good season for them. 73-69 loss versus West Virginia in the second round of the Big 12 tournament, coming off that game just a week ago. Game leaders, Kennedy Taylor, 21 points. Tamira Poindexter, 16.6 rebounds. And the number 2 assist woman in the country, Serena Sundell, had 10 points and dished out 9 assists.
Yeah, and absolutely. That goes to show Kansas State, more than just Aoka Lee. Serena Sundell, we don't mention. She was an honorable All-American on the second team All Big 12. And she is second in the nation in assists per game. And as we look here with Fairfield, they're going to have their hands full and a great assist team in their own right. But how did we get here? Back-to-back MAC champions for the Stags. Another prolific season off of a historic 23-24 campaign. A 19-1 MAC record that lost versus Quinnipiac did snap their 42-game MAC winning streak. However, they bounced back and made a statement, beating them by 23 in the MAC championship game. Huge part of that, Sydney Scott, who was perfect from three-point land, and Megan Anderson, the first-team All-MAC honoree, 27 points, 10 of 15 from the floor, 6 of 9 from 3. But it's not just those two in particular. It is a team effort, and that's evident in the rewards from this season. Meg Anderson, we mentioned, first-team All-MAC. Katie Lamro, who's had a sophomore sensational season, jumping over the lid, second-team All-MAC, and really has shined with the absence of Janelle Brown in this MAC conference this season. 13 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, about 4 assists per game, and 2 steals, more importantly. She's kind of locked in on the defensive end. And then Brianna Brown, how can we forget her? A huge addition to Coach Carley's team. The 6th Woman of the Year, and was on the All-MAC tournament team. 8 points per game, 4 rebounds per game, but she can go for 20 when she feels like it. And more importantly, she was the 6th Woman of the Year in the MAC conference.
Absolutely. The Stags, a laundry list of accomplishments this year, but let's not forget about those Kansas State Wildcats. Led in team field goal percentage in the Big 12 conference, the largest margin of victory in the conference, just about 20.7 a game. And they're the best overall offense in the Big 12, scoring just under 80 points per game this season. The Stags are going to have their handful this afternoon.
Yeah, they absolutely are. Aoka Lee, the splits speak for themselves. 18-1 when Lee has played this season. This was a team who had a high of a ranking as 9th in the country, and in a loaded Big conference likes of TCU, who's a 2 seed, Baylor, who's a 4 seed, Oklahoma State, who's a 7 seed, and West Virginia. I'm forgetting one more off the top of my head here. Your Kansas State Wildcats for a reason. They finished number 19, I believe, in the latest AP poll, and Aoka Lee is at the forefront of it. And we can't forget, she had that historic game against Oklahoma back when they were in the Big 12 with 61 points in that game. However, she did only play. She has not played since February 22nd. Based off press conferences and interviews thus far this week, Coach Jeff Mitty was telling us, and herself, she feels as close to 100% as she has been since the foot fracture she suffered when she returned to the game in February 22nd versus West Virginia. However, you don't really know until you see and if you truly test it out.
Aoka Lee, the first person in Kansas State history to record 2,000 points, 1,000 rebounds, and 300-plus blocks. She's only the 3rd woman ever to do it in the Big 12. And you mentioned head coach Jeff Mitty. 11th season as the Kansas State head coach, his 33rd overall in Division I basketball. Previous stops at Missouri Western, Arkansas State, Texas Christian University for 15 seasons, and now at Kansas State. In his previous 32 seasons, he's made a postseason appearance in 23 of them, Andrew. That's an astounding number.
It is an astounding number, and he's had a decorated career, particularly within this Kansas State program, who has been prolific. Last year, they were a 4 seed, a regional site. They did beat, I believe it was Portland last year, but this is a team that is kind of frustrated in their own right. They didn't get a regional site host when they thought they could, and very well, honestly, deserve one, even without what they've done with Aoka Lee. I mean, 18-1 speaks for itself with her, and this is a team that's frustrated, but this is also a team that is hungry and wants more, as we're going to see other weapons here now for your Kansas State Wildcats. We mentioned Serena Sundell at the top of it. 14 points per game, 7 assists per game, second in Division I, and this is a prolific three-point shooting team. There are 3 Wildcats who shoot 40% or above from 3. Taryn Sides leading the charge there. 45% from three-point land. That is 8th in all of Division I. And looking more bigger picture now, this is one of the most relentless offenses in the country.
Indeed, a relentless offense nonetheless. We're going to get to the starting lineups. New season, new tournament. Let's talk about it for the Stags. Stags are going to roll out a very popular lineup. Katie Lamro, the Enwell, New York native, Hannah McGuire. The checks in, Isabella Nicoleti-Leite in her 7th season from Brazil. Megan Anderson, the New York native, and Amina Selimovic in her 2nd postseason in 2 years with the Stags, who came over from Siena. On the other side of things, as we mentioned earlier, the number 2 assist woman in the country, Serena Sandell. The standout guard, Jalen Green, the senior from Maryville, Missouri. Ziana Walker, the 5'11 sophomore from Wichita, Kansas. Tamira Poindexter, who's had an excellent season. She's a senior from Sepulveda, Oklahoma. And, of course, Aoka Lee, the 6'6", fifth-year graduate student from Byron, Minnesota. A lot of experience on both sides of the floor.
And experience bodes well in this type of environment. You know, this is March. This is a win and survive mentality, and all you need to do is win in advance. Prior stats don't matter. You just need to find a way to win, as we had a thrilling first game here where it was honestly in the air, and momentum favors. Momentum is huge in March. If you got momentum, you're more likely not to succeed in March. Everyone here has momentum. Everyone's earned their spot in the big dance. It's just now a matter of who can make noise in the big dance. And Fairfield obviously looking for a different story from last year when they did travel to Indiana, who was the 4 seed last year, losing by 33. And coaching to Coach Carly Thibault-Didonis, that number 33 has remained a constant in the locker room all season. If you don't know what 33 means, that is the point deficit that Fairfield lost by last year in the NCAA tournament first round against Indiana. However, what we don't take away from that is they hung tough in that first half, only down by 4. Then the game kind of got away from them once Indiana started making threes, and Saria Scalia went off for 27 points in that game.
Yeah, big game. Stags got to keep the pace. For the Stags are smaller. It's going to match up here at Memorial Coliseum, one of the newest buildings in Division I basketball. We're going to be right back after the playing of the national anthem tip-off.
Rihanna, good girl going bad, take 3, action, no clouds in my stones, let it rain, I hydroplane in the thing, coming down like a Dow Jones, when the clouds come we gone, we Rockefellers, we fly higher than weather, and cheap vibes are better, you know me, in anticipation for precipitation, stack chips with a rainy day, Jay, Rain Man is back, with Little Miss Sunshine, Rihanna, where you at?
You have my heart, and we'll never be worlds apart. Maybe in magazines, but you still be my star. Baby, 'cause in the dark, you can't see shiny cars. And that's when you need me there. With you, I'll always share. Because when the sunshine will shine together, told you I'll be here forever. Said I'll always be your friend. Took an oath, I'ma stick it out to can stand under my umbrella. Under my umbrella. Under my umbrella. Under my umbrella. You can run into my arms. It's okay, don't be alarmed. Come into me. There's no distance in between us. So gonna let the rain pour. I'll be all you need and because when the sunshine we shine together. Told you I'll be here forever. Said I'll always be your friend. Took an oath, I'ma stick it out to the end. Now that it's raining more than ever, know that we'll still have each other. You can stand under my umbrella. You can stand under my umbrella. Under my umbrella. Under my umbrella. Under my umbrella. It's raining, raining. Ooh, baby, it's raining, raining. Baby, come into me. Come into me. It's raining, raining. Ooh, baby, it's raining, raining. You can always come in.
Psychic spies from China try to steal your mind's elation. And little girls from Sweden dream of silver screen quotation. And if you want these kind of dreams, it's Californication.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Memorial Coliseum on the campus of University in Kentucky. WVOF 88.5, women's basketball. Fairfield representing the MAC Conference, Kansas State representing the Big 12. It's a top-of-the-tape clash here in the Midwest. Fairfield in their all-black uniforms. Kansas State in the white and purple. Aoka Lee will take the jump, and to start things, it will be Megan Anderson taking the jump as well. Our officials today, Nicole Leon, Scott Perkins, and Michael Price. Our standby official is Molly Caldwell. JMO, it's going to be a great game here. Megan Anderson, Aoka Lee. Anderson will take the Stags and lead them to go east to west in the building. Lee will take her Wildcats and go west to east. The ball is up. And Kansas State wins the tip, and Sundell runs down the rebound.
Going to tell a lot from with the game plan early on Lee for the Stags.
Lee gets a catch inside. 2 points, the first in 2 months.
Yeah, you can see she hasn't missed a beat. That ankle or foot looks 100% healthy. Kansas State going to their bread and butter.
Lamro Anderson in the corner for three, too short. Rebound goes to Walker. Walker passes to Sundell, guarded by Anderson. Sundell looking for an option. Anderson sticks with her, passes over to Point Dexter. Inside, Sundell, 4-footer, and knocks it down.
Tough finish there by Sundell. You can see why she was second team All Big 12 and an honorable All-American.
Lamro guarded by Walker at the top, right on the UK logo. Pass to Nicoletti Leite, guarded by Tamira Point Dexter. Selimovic to Anderson, guarded by Sundell at the top to Magruder. Over to Nicoletti Leite. Magruder sets the screen. 14 on the shot clock, 9:06 on the game clock. Anderson drives, poked away. Magruder controls it. 8 on the shot clock. Lamro up fakes and goes. Sidesteps in the lane, backs her down, and it's get tied up with Lee and Lamro. And Fairfield will keep possession after the Kansas State won the tip just a minute and 6 seconds ago.
And Logan, Kansas State is a team that loves to start hot, and they just keep the flow on the gas. They're doing that right now here. 2 quick field goals there. Fairfield just 0 of 1 on that missed 3 by Meg with 1 on the shot clock.
Nicolette Late rebound challenges. Kansas State tips it away by Dexter, and Kansas State is 2 for 2 on offense and defense. 4-0 early. 8:52 remaining in the first period.
Yeah, and Kansas State on paper, they are the better team, and in size, it has been that way thus far.
Shiana Walker, the 5'11 sophomore guard from Wichita, Kansas, gets it over to Glenn, back to Walker. Walker skip past Sundell inside. Aoka Lee just puts it in. Lee on a hot start, 2 for 2 and 4 points.
Yeah, you can see Fairfield now. Rihanna Brown going to the bench, and Coach E. Brown the sideline, giving the game plan for the stud Lee.
Selimovic gets it to Anderson, looking to get the Stags on the board early. Nicolette Late uses the Anderson screen, guarded by Sundell. Lamro thought about hoisting, crosses over twice. Gets over to Selimovic, top of the key. Lamro, 10 on the shot clock. Magruder got away with a travel, kicks it to Anderson, looking for an option. Her three-pointer deflected, looked like by Walker. Selimovic got it and hits the reverse layup and gets the Stags on the board.
Yeah, and Fairfield's going to have to capitalize on those Kansas State miscues. No one there to guard Selimovic there. Easy to put the layup.
One Dexter over to Glenn, inside Walker, over to Sundell. Gets Anderson to blow by. Right-hand layup, it's too easy, and it's good.
Yeah, you can see the speed and elusiveness there from Sundell. She is a prolific scorer in her own right, even with Aoka Lee still on the court.
Lamro to Magruder, the Texan native. Selimovic to Nicolette Late. Nicolette Late, Lee picks her up, kicked over. Selimovic trying to get a three, another block, this time by Point Dexter.
Yeah, Kansas State defense is smothering the Stags thus far. Has been all Kansas State.
8-2 early. Wildcats off to a hard start. Walker looking to drive, left hand on Lamro. Tips it away temporarily. Selimovic dives on the floor, gives it to Lamro. Lamro going the other way, guarded by Walker, who tips it away temporarily. 5-on-4 in favor of the Stags. Lamro looking to kick it out. Left-handed pass. Nicolette Late, left wing three-pointer. Way too strong. Got nothing but the back of the glass.
Yeah, Stags off the struggle thus far. Good looks from three, though. I will give them that.
Sundell, Glenn hoist from the right wing, right in front of us, and knocks it down. And an early timeout called by Coach Carly Thibault-Dudanis. The Kansas State Wildcats are smoking hot early.
Yeah, and there was only a matter of time. The word we used in the pregame was relentless from three. If you give them an easy look, they are going to make you pay. They are perfect from three just far and perfect from the court. 5 of 5 now.
Looks Aoka Lee's size is definitely giving Fairfield a problem. Selimovic just had the ball thrown over her head twice, and that's not really her fault. Just doesn't have the size to match up at this moment.
And you know what it does? Aoka Lee's presence forces 2 defenders on the Stags no matter what. It leaves an available perimeter shooter for the Wildcats. And we have 3 Wildcats on this Kansas State team who shoot 40% or above from 3. Taryn Sides, Poindexter, and there's one more who I'm forgetting at the moment, Jalen Glenn. Yes, so it really is a nightmare situation for a coach. Interesting to see how this early timeout will help the Stags kind of bounce back and get calm, cool, and collected, and the start has been all Kansas State.
Stags are going to have to find a way to get hot early. Just 1 of 5 from the floor. That equals 20%. Kansas State has hit nylon 5 times and shot it 5 times as well. Off those 5 baskets, 5 assists coming from them as well. Glenn, 1 for 1. That three-pointer went down. Sundell and Lee both have 2 buckets inside. It's been all size early.
It has been. You know, this was what Fairfield is prepared for. They are not a very big team. It's a team that loves to play up-tempo and get points per game. However, they have run into an offensive juggernaut in Kansas State who plays the same exact way. The only difference is, whereas they have Kansas State's tallest player is Aoka Lee, but we're forgetting about also the likes of Kennedy Taylor, who is a force off the bench, particularly when Lee was out in that Big 12 tournament. And it's interesting to see here what Rihanna Brown will do checking into the game now for the Stags, as will Sydney Scott here. You know, in this type of game, you're going to need an offensive spark one way or another. It doesn't matter from who. You just need an offensive spark because Kansas State is going to put points up in bunches. You know, that is inevitable to some degree. And Fairfield, if they have any shot, they need to pile up the points. They cannot afford to go cold from the field. It needs to be consistent offensively from start to finish.
Absolutely, it does. Kansas State starting red hot, as we mentioned. 5 assists have forced a Fairfield turnover. Fairfield on the other end is forced a Kansas State turnover as well. Megan Anderson picked up a steal. However, not a single player on the Fairfield floor is in a plus-minus situation. They're all negative so far, at all -9, as it is an 11-2 lead to start it off. a really good start. And if you're Coach Mitty, you're really pleased with what your women have done so far.
And, this is the Kansas State program that feels like they should be hosting a regional site through the round of 64 and the round of 32. It would not surprise me if they were to make a huge run here. They have the 11th best odds entering today to win the whole national title.
Kansas State makes 2 substitutions. Taryn Sides, a sophomore guard from Webster Groves, Missouri. Kennedy Taylor makes her entrance, the 6'2 senior from Shawnee Mission, Kansas. The Stags will counter with one change with Rayana Brown checking in, the Texas A&M international transfer in her final season as a graduate student. Little clock issue will get back underway. 27 on the shot clock, 6:53 on the game clock. Lamro looking inside to Brown. Knocked away by Poindexter, and Glenn will push it the other way. Here comes Sundell. Scoop past to Poindexter, straight on three-pointer. Kansas State gets their first miss. Rebound inside goes to Taylor, and the Stags knock it out last. Lamro wanted to travel, but no possession on either side.
Aoki may be out right now, but in comes Taylor, who is filling the shoes of Lee right now in terms of size, given the problems on the offensive glass.
Inbound pass too easy as Glenn gets it in. Sundell adds to her assist total and adds one more.
Yeah, Sundell, you can see why. She is the facilitator and one of the premier ones in the country.
Anderson, Jill Herder is checking, the sophomore from Rutgers, originally from New York as well. Sydney Scott, chest pass inside. Herder, Anderson working on Poindexter, kicked out one more time. Wild pass, corralled by Herder on the left wing. Katie Lamro only got 10 seconds to get busy, and she does. Crosses it over behind the back, looking to get inside. Left-hand layup is no good, but she's fouled by Sides. Taryn Sides will pick up her first personal and the first team foul for Kansas State.
Yeah, hopefully Fairfield can end a 7-0 run by the Wildcats over this last minute and 47 and end their own 2-minute scoring drought. Fairfield's going to have to stay consistently in this game and not let the league get too out of hand.
Lamro right around 85% from the line, knocks down the first. Stags still down 13-3, 6:06 remaining here in the first period. Lamro from Enwell, New York, her right-hand stroke knocks it down, gets Fairfield a little bit of their momentum back. Glenn to Sundell, Taryn Sides, and Glenn will run the offense for Coach Jeff Mitty's team. Glenn guarded by Sydney Scott, the Marshall transfer who's just checked in. She's a junior. Inside, Sundell, guarded by Rayana Brown. Loses the handle. Rayana Brown capitalizes, gets it to Sides. Over to Sides. Her floater off the glass is good. Taryn Sides gets on the board. The sophomore from Webster Groves, Missouri. Lamro going the other way, looking to get some momentum going. Jill Herder launches a 22-foot three-pointer and misses front iron. Kansas State pushes the other way with Sundell. Sundell over to Glenn, who's guarded aggressively by Lamro. Back to Sundell. Guards right hand. Good drive, and it ends in a good result.
And Kansas State, we talked about third in the country in field goal, or fourth in the country in field goal percentage, They're just showing off right now, it looks like.
Brown takes a rare three-pointer, looking to get the bank open on this Saturday afternoon. Misses, and Jill Herder picks up the foul. Too aggressive and hits Poindexter's arm, and she will check out. Checking in is Gisela Sanchez, the 6'4 junior from Barcelona, Spain.
I understand the aggressivity from Herder there. However, Kansas State clearly had the rebound. It looked like a frustration foul, honestly.
Foul trouble's got to be avoided for the Stags as they're down early here, as Sundell will be guarded by the Grand Prairie, Texas native. In Magruder, drive by Sanchez. Kicked out Glenn, free drives, 8-footer in and out. Rebound underneath by Taylor, no foul called. Magruder pushing the other way. 3-on-1 in favor of the Wildcats. Magruder uses the control a little bit, gets it to Scott, who corrals it. Rayana Brown on the cut. Up fakes and goes in. Denied by Taylor, who said, say no. The other way. And the elevation by Sanchez. Her layup's no good. Magruder trying to play the pace at Kansas State, and it just won't happen. Selimovic, her three-pointer, fakes it, goes. Gets it to Magruder, who will launch from 24 feet and knocks it down. Kendall Magruder lassos it home for three.
And that was needed in a big way by the Stags. They break through in the three-point department, their first make in 7 tries.
Sundell will cross the timeline. Aoka Lee and Cyan Ko will check in at the next stoppage. Taylor sets the screen for Sundell. Flare screen gets it to Sides and stepped on the end line. Kansas State will turn it over once more.
Just a second turnover of the quarter for the Wildcats. While Fairfield hasn't turned it over, their inefficiency on offense as far as led Kansas State to this up-tempo. pace, and they are already up to 17 points in the first quarter, up 10 early on the Stags.
Immediate timeout with 4:04 left in the first quarter. As Andrew mentioned, 17-7. Kansas State with all 4 timeouts in their pocket. Carly Tebow-Dudanis had to use a full timeout early. She's got 3 remaining. Ioka Lee checking back in, instrumental in her first few minutes. And as we discussed earlier this week, Coach Jeff Mitty's going to get her in spurts. It's not going to be longer than 5 minutes probably.
And then, you mentioned, I sound like a broken record with me bringing up the splits again, but she controls the game even when she's on the floor not doing anything. You see it opens the floor for perimeter shooters like Sides, Poindexter, and Glenn, and it really has been a team effort thus far. As your leading scorers, Sundell with 6. She hasn't shot a single three-pointer. Glenn's gotten it done, as has Sides and Ioka Lee, who has 4 points already. So this is a Kansas State offense that can hit you from many places, and it has been a struggle for the Stags thus far defensively. Kansas State is shooting 67%.
Kansas State doing exactly what they want to do defensively, and that's force Fairfield to shoot contested three-pointers. And it's worked so far, 1 of 7 from the floor behind the arc from Fairfield. That's 14.3%. And we saw a game last week where the Stags shot under 30% at 12.5% clip, and it didn't go too well. Only a 1-point win against an opponent they should probably beat by more.
Yeah, and absolutely. You mentioned the offensive consistency. This is a team that has been more streaky than last year, I'd say. This is a team who's still 19-1 in the conference. However, they have been in a lot more close games than they have been. When you look at the stats on surface level, they have been blowing out teams significantly, an 18.8-plus margin of victory, and Kansas State is right up there with them in terms of that statistic in the country. However, it has been very streaky for the Stags. It took a while for them to get going against Manhattan. That Quinnipiac game, it was really that second and third quarter run that elevated them. You can't expect to shoot as well as they did in that span versus the Quinnipiac Bobcats. And, these types of starts against quality opponents and Power 4 teams like the Kansas State Wildcats does not bode well. However, we did see the first game before how Liberty was down to a lead early to Kentucky and only lost that game by 1. However, Fairfield has a different urgency. They need to make the present count.
Indeed, they do, down 10 early. Cyan Coe will check in. The freshman from Bolton, Ontario, Selimovic, Sydney Scott, Kendall Magruder, and Jill Herder, the 5 that Coach Carly Tebow-Dudanis will roll out. She's already used 9 of her members of her roster. Coach Mitty has used 8. On the other side of things, Ioka Lee will check back in with Sundell, Glenn. Sanchez will stay on the floor, as well as Zayana Walker. Herder will inbound. Struggle to get it in, and it goes to Kendall Magruder. Magruder working 5-on-4 as Walker went for the steal. Herder driving with the left hand. Back in down Sundell. Up fakes, goes. Nice move by Jill Herder, and took Sundell to the dance floor.
More known for her three-point range, but she gets it done inside there. Nice job, patience, and waiting for a right shot.
Trespass Glenn over to Sundell inside. Ioka Lee just using her height and lays it home right over Coe.
You can't do anything with that. It's just the height there. Slijevic is doing all she can, but Lee is just able to corral it with her height and put it up for an easy 2.
Selimovic gets it to Magruder, staring down a 10-point deficit. Cyan Coe finds Sydney Scott, who gets it to Magruder. Magruder guarded by Walker. Magruder then finds Coe with 12 on the shot clock, 3:17 on the game clock. Coe sets the screen on Walker's left hip. Magruder trying to get it inside, tipped away by Walker, and ends up in Lee's hands. Walker going the other way. Guarded by Magruder. Lee sets a flare screen. Gets it to Glenn. Glenn guarded by Sydney Scott in her first year at Fairfield. And gets it to Sundell. Glenn gets it to Lee, who just corrals it over Selimovic's head. Glenn has 12 seconds to get busy. Then gets it to Sundell. Skip pass over to Walker. Drives on Magruder. One more to Glenn. Almost picked off by Sydney Scott. Glenn will get it from the right elbow. Too strong. Rebound goes to the Wildcats as Glenn corrals her own miss. Sundell, Glenn, corner 3, too strong, and the rebound goes to Kendall Magruder.
I like that defensive stand there, putting Cyan Coe on the bigger lead there.
Magruder to Selimovic in the corner, gets it to Jill Herder. Up to Magruder to Coe. 4 out of the 5 women for the Stags to touch the basketball. Sydney Scott looking to get her hands on it. Instead goes to Selimovic, then to Jill Herder. Selimovic sets a screen for Herder. Uses it inside. Cyan Coe working on Lee. Trying to find an angle, then gets it to Jill Herder. Up fakes past Glenn. Her 6-foot runner, no good. And sips out of bounds by Cyan Coe, who's trying to corral the rebound over Walker. Checking in for Fairfield is Megan Anderson. She'll replace Herder. Sides will replace Sundell, who will get her first rest. Lamro will check back in to guard Sides. A little bit better matchup for Lamro this time around. Her and Anderson will be on the other side of the timeline on a little bit of an off press here. Walker will control the pace for Kansas State, who finds themselves up 10 early. Sides inside, picked out by Coe that time, looking for Aoka Lee. That's a great defensive stand for Fairfield as Lamro pushes the other way. Katie Lamro looking for an option, finds Coe, the Canadian. Coe looking for options, finds Lamro inside to Selimovic, and the grab is going to be called on Walker. Walker will pick up her first personal. Kansas State will pick up their second team foul.
Any play that goes to Stags' way is momentum right now here. You got to chip this lead within single digits before the first quarter. Feel better in that huddle.
1:43 remaining here in the first period here at Memorial Coliseum on the campus of University of Kentucky here in Lexington. Anderson checks pass to Lamro, who gets it to Selimovic, and a costly turnover as Selimovic couldn't corral the pass. And it's a backcourt violation and another turnover for Fairfield.
Not ideal there, just a little bit of a miscue there. Selimovic unable to corral. You know the nerves are high and it is tight here, but in this type of game, any mental error and those types of silly mistakes is not going to bode well.
Side struggled to get it in for a second there, but Walker created some separation on Lamro. Her one-handed pass goes to Sides. Sides, another one-handed pass to Sanchez. Inside, Lee as Coe hit the deck, and Lee couldn't get it. Gets her own miss. Right-hand layup is good, and Lee has been an absolute force in her first game back.
Yet she has been, to say the least, and she is already up to 2 offensive rebounds, 4 on the game.
Lamro crosses over, gets it to Coe. Sydney Scott at the top to Selimovic. The Brazilian Isabella Nicolete will check in at the next stoppage. Katie Lamro slips a little bit. Her right-hand dribble stays. And gets it to Megan Anderson, all first team that conference. Sydney Scott down about the 3. Good closeout by Sides. Lamro's got 7 seconds to get to work. Anderson steps back. Her right wing three-pointer too strong. Selimovic tipped it, but Sides came down with it. 45 seconds remaining here in the first period. Walker going the other way, working on Lamro. Between the legs dribble. Coe doing a great job to get it. A box out on Lee, who skips it over. Sanchez gets Selimovic to drive by. Her right-hand layup, no good. Who gets her own miss is Sanchez. And the rebound goes from Selimovic. And it will stay with Kansas State. And Coach Carly Thibault-Dudanis is beside herself. Substitutions for the Wildcats. Number 32, Imani Lester will check in. The 6'4 sophomore from Raleigh, North Carolina. Poindexter will also check back in. Jill Herder will check back in at the next stoppage. But for now,
great inbound play by the Wildcats there. Just the only thing that didn't go was the bucket.
Lamro's 50-foot pass way too strong. And a costly turnover. And Carly Thibault-Dudanis is just asking the Stags to slow down the pace a little bit, playing at Kansas State's pace. And so far, that hasn't worked out well as you find yourself in a 12-point deficit.
No, it has not. 3 turnovers in the last 3:31 for the Stags there.
Walker will get it started from the inbound pass from Sides. A 4-cross set from Kansas State. Walker guarded well by Lamro at the top. Side sets a flare screen and trying to get her on a three-pointer. Instead drives, kicks it out. Poindexter, her left wing three-pointer, no good. That's in the right corner, excuse me. Sydney Scott trying to hoist at the last second and won't get it to go. And a dreamy first quarter for the Wildcats and a nightmare if you're the Stags.
It has been a nightmare. And it just feels like Kansas State is winning every category right now. Fairfield, 5 turnovers. They only average 14 per game, so almost halfway to their total already, and we're not even through a quarter. But really the main difference has been Aoka Lee. You can see the rebound deficit, 13-6 in favor of the Wildcats. 6 of those offensive rebounds for the Wildcats. And it just, Fairfield, I like the adjustment they made with playing Cyan Coe on Lee. It just, the height is inevitable, and it there's no game plan for it. You have to hope for the best, honestly, and hope she fouls, I feel like.
Yeah, you got to find a way to not get her on single coverage. Got to find a way to double team her from the weak side on help coverage. Just kind of do your best, right? We mentioned at the top of the broadcast, she's going to get her points. She's going to get the ball down low. We just have to minimize it. Fairfield's got to find ways to control the basketball on their own end. They have 3 turnovers in the last 3 minutes and 53 seconds, which has led to that scoring drought of the same time period. On the other side of things, you have a little bit of momentum. Kansas State is over their last 4, one of their last 8. You're playing better defense. You just have to put it together on the offensive side as well.
But, yeah, that's the problem. We're not capitalizing in the Kansas State slump. This is a team, remind you, that shoots about 43% from the court. It's 3rd in Division I. It's only a matter of time before they get it going. And Fairfield, 1 of 8 from 3. There's 3 of 12 from the court. Overall, the offense has certainly been slow to start here early. They need to make an offensive statement and find that spark that they had against Quinnipiac in those second and third quarters, which led them to that MAC championship.
Absolutely. Kansas State's an excellent defensive team, second in opponent field goal percentage at 36.7%. On the other side of the ball, they make 8.5 three-pointers a game, and their assist-to-turnover ratio is the best in the Big 12 at 1.67 assists for every turnover that they have.
And that's why Kansas State is such a tricky team to play against. They make you pay for your mistakes, and they are doing just that with the Stags here right now, as they have 6 points off turnovers, but also it's the selflessness of Kansas State at the moment. 8 assists compared to just 1 for the Stags. Every possession, every Wildcat on the court is touching the ball, and Fairfield is playing catch-up right now, and Kansas State's just getting everything their way. At least that was the portion. You did mention the 1 of 8, but it still feels like Kansas State is just having their way with everything.
The second time the Stags have been led to single digits in just one quarter. The last time was 2 weeks ago from tomorrow, where they were held to just 7 points against Quinnipiac. If you're Fairfield, a lot of struggling stats that pop out early. 5 turnovers in one quarter, on pace for 20. As you mentioned, Andrew, they only turn it over about 14 times a night. 25% from the floor, only hitting 3 field goals. And the more alarming stat, that 12.5-point three-point percentage is back just in a different week.
It is, and unfortunately, this is the last team you can do it against. The Big 12 is one of the deepest conferences in college athletics, and most notably in women's basketball with the likes of TCU, Baylor, Oklahoma, West Virginia, and Kansas State. This is a team you cannot afford to start slow against. Unfortunately, the offense looks a little bit sluggish to start here.
The Wildcats got their 5 back on the floor. It'll be Sides, Walker, Sundell. Looks like Poindexter's on the floor as well with Lester. The Stags will counter with Nicoletti Leitze, Lamro, Anderson, the graduate student, Rayana Brown, and Jillian Herter. A very popular lineup for the Stags, one that has played together a lot this year. We'll see if we can put it together in the final 10 minutes of the first half here at Lexington. Beautiful facility here, brand new is Memorial Coliseum in their renovation last year. $80 to $90 million. If you ever have a chance to come down and check it out, we've had a great experience here in the last 24 hours. The other, Lexington, Kentucky's been a bustling city, hasn't it, Andrew, with the men's tournament been at Rupp Arena as well. So, again, great place to be come March, as Terrence Sides will be the indounder. As we have a little bit of a stoppage here before we get going. And the ball will be passed in by Sides as Walker will get us going, guarded by the sophomore Lamro. Walker gets it to Sundell, uses the Lester screen. Sundell trying to get it to Walker, guarded well by Anderson, finds Walker, then it finds Sides, then it finds Sundell. Sundell rips it down, then skips it inside to Walker, who's just using her strength and gets their tough layup to go on Lamro.
Yeah, and that's where size matters in college basketball. Just too easy for Walker there on the smaller Lamro.
Nicoletti Leitze finds Rayana Brown. Rayana Brown had a breakout game against Sacred Heart, 31 points just 2 months ago, and has been integral ever since. Nicoletti Leitze, chest pass to Brown, guarded by Lester. Lamro's got 10 seconds to get a shot up. Lamro, 3 crossovers. Trying to find an angle. Got to find a shot here in 3, 2. Herter's got a hoist with 123 feet and can't knock it down as it was blocked. Excellent defensive stand by Kansas State.
Yeah, that's an understatement there. I'd even go one further. Textbook. That's 3 perimeter shots that have been smothered and have been swatted by the Kansas State Wildcats. They're already up to, you think they'd have more blocks, but actually they only have 3. However, they have gotten their fair share of the Stag shots thus far.
Walker will get us started. Katie Lamro will guard once more. Sundell guarded by Magruder. Skip to Sides. Her three-pointer too strong. Rebound goes to Anderson, and the Stags will restart with Magruder. Magruder crosses over as she crosses the UK logo. Lamro on the back cut. Couldn't find her. It was Anderson. Magruder over to Jill Herter. Herter thought about the three-pointer. Poindexter, stout defense. Anderson one more to Magruder. Thought about the three-pointer. Nicoletti Leitze at the top. Jill Herter takes the 3 from 25 feet. Way too strong. And Lester pulls down the rebound. Gets it to Sides. He's pushing the pace.
Understanding the offensive spark there, but not ideal, especially when the team's struggling.
Lester to sides. Screen by Sundell. Magruder gets the switch on her. Magruder staying stout on the defensive end. Poindexter. Poindexter looking to get the Sundell post up on the smaller Nicolette Leite. Nicolette Leite went for the steal, and instead she gets the foul. Nicolette Leite will pick up her first personal, and the Stags will pick up their first team foul of the quarter. Sydney Scott will check in for Jill Herder. And Lester will check out, and Eliza Maupin will check in for the first time, the 6'4 junior from Webster Groves, Missouri. Inbound pass, Poindexter gets it to sides, who thought about the three-pointer. Nicolette Leite stays with her. Poindexter guarded well by Sydney Scott, who tips it away temporarily, then gets it to Walker. And skip pass to Sundell. Sundell pumps and goes, and a foul is called. It looks like that's going to go on Nicolette Leite. Nicolette Leite will pick up her second in 10 seconds.
That's not a great call there. However, I am not referee. It looks like the one turnover that Kansas State was going to commit gets bailed out by the whistle there as Brianna Brown's going to check in.
Nicolette Leite went for the charge, was moving her feet though. Brianna Brown will replace her as Nicolette Leite picks up her second personal. Poindexter and Sydney Scott going at it, gets a word from the officials. Ball is looking to be inbounded by Sundell. One of the best assist women in the country gets it inside to Maupin.
That's great stand by Anderson.
Lamro, eyes up the whole way down the floor, finds her classmate Anderson. Anderson inside to Rayana Brown, gets a favorable matchup on Walker, and Rayana Brown gets on the board.
With Lee, Taylor, and Lester all off, this is a smaller Kansas State lineup. Look for Rayana Brown to get heavy volume.
Walker crosses over Lamro, who was on ice skates. Sundell looking for Poindexter, almost turned it over. Sundell, chest pass into the corner, sides, looking to get on the board. She's over 3 from three-point land. She's shooting almost 45% from three-point land this year. Lamro gets it to Brown. Brown finds Anderson, another favorable matchup. This time, sides got switched on, and Anderson gets a right-hand layup on the left side to go.
Fairfield going to the paint with the bigs out, and you can see Coach Mitty going to Ioka Lee and putting Glenn back in as well.
Wildcats on a 2.5-minute scoring drought. Maupin gets it from Sundell, and it's tipped out of bounds by Lamro, and it looks like the momentum has shifted a little more towards Fairfield's side.
In a game that's going to be a chess match between two elite head coaches here, both teams making adjustments. Ioka Lee comes in for the Wildcats. Cyan Coe comes in for the Stags.
Jalen Glenn will also check in sides, and Maupin will check out. Walker catches the football pass from Poindexter. Inside, Glenn will get the catch on the SEC logo. Gets it inside from Lee, and Sydney Scott went for the steal and says, my bad, as she pulls down Lee's arm. Sydney Scott will pick up her first personal and the team's third.
You have to love the tenacity, though, ever since this mini 4-0 run by the Stags there. Stags trying to give Lee no breathing room whatsoever.
Sundell will inbound. That pass goes to Glenn on the right wing, guarded by Magruder. Sundell working on Anderson to Glenn. Glenn overhead pass over to Walker. Walker looking for Lee. Skip pass to Poindexter, right corner three. Too short, and a little bit of a wedgie here in Lexington, Kentucky.
That's some comedic relief here. That's much needed here in this tense game that everyone knows and loves as March Madness.
6 minutes, 31 seconds remaining here in the first half. The Stags find themselves in a 10-point deficit as Kansas State has put up a staggering 23 points here so far. Lamro to Magruder to Cyan Coe in that order. Coe looking to drive on Lee. Fakes it, gets it out to Sydney Scott, who takes the three-pointer from the right wing. No good, and Glenn will pull down the rebound.
That's when Scott's going to want back.
Glenn gets a 2-point. Dexter gets it to Sundell. Sundell will drive with the right hand. Anderson, good switch. Walker looking for Lee inside, right over the head, and Lee misses another layup. Lee kicks it out one more. Glenn, Walker, Sundell, guarded by Anderson. The cut by Glenn, working on the smaller Lamro. Lamro will stay stout. Sundell, Poindexter with 10 to shoot it. Poindexter and sits out of bounds. And a great call by the official right in front of us as Sundell was the last to touch it as Anderson causes havoc on the defensive end.
You can see they're playing a game of separation here, and Fairfield has made defensive adjustments, and you can see has been stopped here. Kansas State in the midst of a 3:51 scoring drought. A little bit of momentum with the Stags here.
Lamro, spider dribble, then gets it to Magruder. Magruder calling out a play, gets it to Coe. Sydney Scott will audible. Cole looking to get on Lee on the reverse, then gets it to Lamro. Lamro will hoist the three-pointer and knock it down. Katie Lamro, how do you do?
They can see Aoka Lee being forced on the perimeter. That's what the Stags need to continue to do.
Sundell looking for Lee inside. She'll drive it herself, kicks it to Poindexter. One more to Glenn, who drives with her left hand, then gets it to Poindexter to restart it. Stags a little bit more better here on the defensive end, as nothing's been easy for Kansas State in the last 4 minutes. Glenn gets the skip pass over from Sundell. Air ball. Lee will get the miss. Lay it up, in and out, and instead gets the layup to go. And the foul will be called down low, as Aoka Lee's been an absolute force down low, and there are no answers from Coach Carly Thibault-Dudonis and her squad.
No answers as of right now, but the Kansas State has struggled from the three. It has been a very streaky team. We talked about the differences with her in the lineup versus her out the lineup. She is already in double figures, 5 of 8. 4 offensive rebounds, just staggering numbers thus far from the grad student.
Grad student Aoka Lee will take her first free throw in just under a month, and knocks it down and pushes Kansas State's lead to 10 once more. Lamro guarded by Walker. Lamro turning the wheels all the way up the floor, almost turns it over, but Anderson settles it down as Coach Carly Thibault-Dudonis will do her job and slow down her team. Kickball violation as Magruder tried to get it inside to Anderson. Sundell will kick it out of bounds. And an immediate timeout has been called here at the University of Kentucky's Memorial Coliseum. The Stags still down double digits, but have found a little bit of momentum, Andrew, here at the end of this first half.
And it's been on the defensive end, which has really translated into offensive success. They have forced already 5 turnovers from the Wildcats. Shooting has not been as easy as Kansas State has seen this season. They are one of their last 7 from the court. They are just shooting 1 of 7 from 3. So it's not like they've been shy to shoot from 3. They are getting good looks. They're just not capitalizing. But Fairfield isn't either. That's the issue, and that's why this lead is not closer at the moment. However, we did see the Kentucky Liberty game was a game of swings. This could very well be one of those games also, which is going to be a battle of decisions and adjustments between Coach Carly Thibault-Dudonis and her staff and Kansas State's head coach Jeff Mitty and his staff.
A lot of experience. The big dance after the loss to Indiana last year, as we mentioned at the top of the broadcast, by 33 points. Not a good result, only down 10 here. But again, have to keep it close if you want any chance in this game going down the stretch.
And you have to keep it in striking distance. If you can get this lead within single digits by halftime, it will be a lot better vibe and morale in the locker room and a little bit more confidence, which can do wonders and for a potential comeback. As you know, the game is far from over. However, you have to live in the present. You have to make decisions, and everything matters now.
Absolutely. Liberty found themselves down double digits at one point in our earlier matchup against Kentucky on their home floor. Only lost by a single point as the Wildcats slipped away with a 1-point victory, 79-78.
Looks like coming out of the timeout here with 4:50 to go in the second quarter with Kansas State leading 26-16. Both teams will be making adjustments, but you did see Fairfield was getting momentum when the bigs were off the court. It is going to be a chess match, as we're able to see, but Fairfield needs to get it going from 3. 2 of 12 is not an ideal start, to say the least. And, be thankful at least that Kansas State is not making their threes at a rate they are used to, just 1 of 7 from the perimeter thus far.
The Wildcats shooting 41.4% from the floor. Not a great number, but the Stags are shooting about 10% lower, 33.3%. And the real astounding stat, 2 for 12 from the three-point line. But again, Kansas State hasn't got it going either. So we'll see how it translates for the last 4 minutes and 50 seconds here in the first half. But both teams got to figure it out on the offensive end.
And Fairfield particularly needs to figure it out on the physicality and rebounding end. I know height is an advantage for the Kansas State Wildcats. However, height is just a number. The Fairfield needs to dig deep and get some more rebounds and prevent offensive rebounds. Kansas State has 9 of them already. It has led to too many second chance points for the Wildcats.
The Stags will get it started again with Anderson, Lamro, Sydney Scott, Kendall Magruder, and Cheyenne Coe. Walker, Sundell, Lee, Poindexter's on the floor as well with Glenn. As Lamro drives with the right hand and gets a tough finish to go. And one as Katie Lamro is all fired up. She's hit back-to-back shots.
Yeah, and it was only a matter of time before she got going. We saw her heroics in Atlantic City with the reverse layup against the mountain. Then that Herculean three in Quinnipiac. She's going to try to will this team back thus far as she is up to 7 for the Stags, leading all Stag scores.
Katie Lamro back to the line for the second time. Her shot's good and has cut the Kansas State Wildcat lead to just 7 points. Sundell will get the offense going, then across the timeline, gives it to Walker. Walker one-handed pass. Poindexter launches a three-pointer off the heel of the rim and knocked out of bounds by Megan Anderson, and it looks like a missed call from the Fairfield faithful.
Then the Fairfield faithful is not happy whatsoever. However, you have to love this Fairfield faithful showing up and traveling to Kentucky for this game in March.
About an 8-hour drive from Fairfield, Connecticut. Inbound pass from Sundell goes to Lee. Lee trying to post it up. Good option by Coe to box her out. Glenn, one-handed pass, gets it to Walker, who drives behind the back dribble, takes the 12-footer, and knocks it down as Walker knocks down a two-pointer.
Yeah, Kansas State needed to go the inside there. They were struggling from three. Need to get points one way or another to end this spout.
Coe gets it to Scott, to Lamro, guarded by Lee. Lee's presence scares Lamro away from a shot and gets it to Sydney Scott, then to Magruder with 3:55 remaining here in the first half. Magruder to Sydney Scott on the right wing. Sydney Scott to Coe inside, and it's picked off by Glenn as she wanted it to Anderson. Another Fairfield turnover.
Like the idea with the matchup, just not the best pass there from Coe.
Execution's got to be cleaned up if you're Fairfield. Sundell gets it to Poindexter. Poindexter on the drive looked like she traveled. It gets a 12-footer off the glass to go, and Kansas State is starting to heat up once more.
Yep, that's a 4-0 run now, answered by the Kansas State Wildcats.
Good defense by Walker as Lamro went up to drive. Uses her body to get some separation, but Walker stayed with the play. Selimovic will check in, as well as Rayana Brown for Fairfield. Lee will check out, and Kennedy Taylor will check in, the 6'2 senior from Shawnee Mission, Kansas. Magruder will be the inbounder right on the K of Kentucky on the west side of the building. Magruder gets it to Lamro, who gets it to Magruder. Magruder finds Selimovic, but a miscommunication as Scott and Selimovic couldn't space the floor properly.
That's just a very poor miscommunication there between Selimovic and Scott there. A costly turnover with Kansas State already on a mini run here.
30-19, 11-point lead for Kansas State as they go 3 minutes and 10 seconds left in the first half. Taylor sets the screen. Sundell, who drives with the right hand on Selimovic. Chest pass to Walker, once more to Glenn. Good closeout by Magruder. Cross-court pass to Sundell. Good ball movement. Taylor had it knocked away by Rayana Brown, and Lamro will go the other way.
Great passing, but better defense here by Stags.
Lamro to Magruder, right-hand drive. Her circus pass goes to Brown. Lamro hoists a three-pointer. Short, and it goes to Walker. A one-handed pass all the way up to Sundell, then to Poindexter. Poindexter trying to find an angle, finds it inside to Taylor, and a foul was called. That's going to go on Sydney Scott, who will pick up her second personal.
You can see Kansas State flying on the offensive end, turning quick defense into rapid offense there. Another foul there by Sydney Scott, her second, team's fifth.
Kennedy Taylor will go to the line for her first trip. Jill Herder will check back in. That'll be Sydney Scott that will check out. Kennedy Taylor, the 6'2 sophomore. Taylor, the righty, will hoist her first and rattles it home. Kansas State up to a 12-point advantage. 2:35 remaining here in the first half. And noise being made by the Fairfield dance, cheer, and band. Doesn't affect Taylor as she knocks it down. Nothing but nylon. Selimovic will inbound. Almost turned it over, and Lamro gets it in. Lamro looking for options, guarded by the taller Walker. Jill Herder, guarded by Sides. Herder finds Brown, who starts it over with Magruder right in front of the UK logo at midcourt. Selimovic, Magruder, Herder. Herder, wide open three-pointer, straight on, and rattles it home. Jill Herder knocks it down and gets the Stags within 10 points once more.
Great job there making Kansas State pay for leaving Herder wide open.
Sides to Walker. Inside to Taylor. Fouled once more, this time on Rayana Brown. And an adjustment has been made as Magruder did slide over, as we mentioned, to double team Kennedy Taylor, but too strong is Taylor.
You can see Kansas State just having their way. They're using that height advantage to their benefit as Fairfield has committed a plethora of fouls there, and is Kansas State going back to the line once again. So Scott's now with 2 fouls, and Nicoletes with 2 fouls.
Taylor knocked down her first pair, make it 3 for 3 on the night. Taylor wearing the 12 here at Kansas State in the white and purple. Kansas State extends their lead to 11 once more. Taylor hoists her second free throw off the heel of the rim, but it does fall. 12-point advantage for the Wildcats. Lamro, left-hand dribble, then to Selimovic. Poindexter went for the steal. Selimovic thought about the three, chose not to. Brown at the top gets it to Lamro, who finds her way with the basketball again. Lamro, left-hand dribble, switches to her right hand inside and tipped away by the taller Taylor. Poindexter pushing the other way, 4-on-4 basketball in the half court. Sides, Poindexter, right wing three-pointer, and knocks it down. Poindexter, how do you do?
That's where the points of turnovers are going to kill in the Stags right now.
Tamira Poindexter hits a three-pointer and knocks the wind out of the sails of Fairfield's attack. Selimovic on the other end gets it to Brown, who drives right hand, turnover, sides with the steal, behind the back dribble, avoids Lamro. Sides, one hand pass, Walker inside, working on Magruder, trying to avoid the travel and can't. Turnover, Magruder knocks it away. 3-on-2 basketball in favor of the Stags. Out of fourth with Selimovic. Selimovic hoists the three-pointer from the left wing and knocks it down. Emila Selimovic, or the Bosnian Barbie, knocks it down from three.
Fairfield slightly heating up from 3. However, they're just going toe-for-toe right now on the offensive end.
Poindexter looked to counter, couldn't get it, and Selimovic looks at the clock. And a 2-for-1 advantage for the Stags as they're trying to get 2 possessions in the final minute. Rayana Brown looking inside, finds Lamro. 20 seconds separate the game in the shot clock. Selimovic gets the catch, saves the possession. Magruder thought about the three-pointer. 14 seconds. Lamro hoists a three. No good. And Taylor slows it down. And a 0.8-second difference between the shot and the game clock. Walker looking across the timeline right at the 21-second mark. Walker guarded by Lamro. Defense chance rattle through Memorial Coliseum by the Fairfield faithful. Sundell comes and gets it 2 feet across the timeline. Sundell, Walker, 2 crossovers. Keeps the possession. Poindexter. Samira Poindexter working on her. She's got 2 to hoist it. Didn't mill it in a shot clock violation. 0.8 seconds will separate the shot and game clock. Good defensive possession by Fairfield.
And it's slight momentum.
Lamro football passes it from 75 feet and Wiley to left. And Jeff Mitty's team will go to the locker room up 12, but Fairfield looking to catch some momentum on those final 5 minutes.
Certainly has been tale of 2 halves. We saw Kansas State got off to that rocket start, but they have struggled also. Fairfield has chipped away, but they have not made a significant run to get them back firmly in this game. Kansas State, Fairfield, the closest they've gotten is 7 in this game thus far. And Kansas State, it's the size. That's what it is. You see, Kansas State is going to go with their bread and butter. They're going to use their advantage and cause Fairfield to commit fouls and then go to the line. We're seeing it with Lee. We're seeing it with Taylor. We're seeing it even with Poindexter, the guards even on this team. Sundell, 6'2". Tamira Poindexter, 6'3". It's just a nightmare situation. It's just a reality that you got to go all stops for. And Fairfield has kept this within a respectable margin, though. So,
absolutely got to find ways to win the game in the trenches. The Wildcats have out-rebounded the Stags 21-11, also have 10 assists on 15 baskets, where the Stags have had 5 assists on 9 field goals in the first half. An exciting game here at Memorial Coliseum. Nonetheless, the Wildcats have taken a 12-point lead into the halftime break. We'll be back with you in 14 minutes and 15 seconds for coverage of this very competitive basketball game. We'll see you in the second half.
closed off from love. I didn't need the pain. Once or twice was enough, and it was all in vain. Time starts to pass before you know it, you're frozen. But something happened for the very first time with you. My heart melted to the ground, found something true, and everyone's looking round, thinking I'm. But I don't care what they say, I'm in love with you. They try to pull me away, but they don't know the truth. My heart's crippled by the pain that I keep on closing. You cut me open and I keep bleeding, keep bleeding, love. I keep bleeding, I keep bleeding, love. Keep bleeding, keep bleeding, love. You cut me open. Trying hard not to hear, but the talk so loud. Their piercing sounds fill my ears, trying to fill me with doubt. Yet I know that the goal is to keep me from falling. Hey, but nothing's greater than the risk that comes with your embrace. And in this world of loneliness, I see your face. Yet everyone around me thinks that I'm going crazy. Maybe, but I don't care what they say. I'm in love with you. They try to pull me away, but they don't know the truth. My heart's crippled by the pain that I keep on closing. You cut me open and I keep bleeding, keep bleeding, love. I keep bleeding, I keep bleeding, love. Keep bleeding, keep bleeding, love. Cut me open, and it's draining all of me. Oh, they find it hard to believe I'll be wearing these scars for everyone to see. I don't care what they say, I'm in love with you. They try to pull me away, but they don't know the truth. My heart's crippled by the pain that I keep on closing. Ooh, you cut me open and I keep bleeding, keep bleeding, love. I keep bleeding, I keep bleeding, love. Keep bleeding, keep bleeding, love. Oh, you cut me open and I keep bleeding, love. I keep bleeding, I keep bleeding, love. Keep bleeding, I keep bleeding. Oh, you cut me open and I keep bleeding, love.
What's wrong with the world, mama? People living like they ain't got no mamas. I think the whole world's addicted to the drama, only attracted to things that'll bring the trauma. Overseas, yeah, we trying to stop terrorism, but we still got terrorists here living in the USA, the big CIA, the Bloods and the Crips and the KKK. But if you only have love for your own race, then you only leave space to discriminate, and to discriminate only generates hate. And when you hate, then you're bound to get irate. Yeah, madness is what you demonstrate, and that's exactly how anger works and operates. Man, you gotta have love love just to set it straight. Take control of your mind and meditate. Let your soul gravitate to the love, y'all.
People killing, people dying, children hurt and you hear them crying. When you practice what you preach, and would you turn the other cheek? Father, 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 help us, send some guidance from above. These people got me questioning, where is the love? Where is the love? Where is the love?
Where is the love?
It just ain't the same, always new change. New days are strange, is the world insane? If love and peace is so strong, why are there pieces of love that don't belong? Nations dropping bombs, chemical gases filling lungs of little ones with ongoing suffering. As the youth are young, so ask yourself, is the loving really gone? So I can ask myself, really what is going wrong in this world that we living in? People keep on giving in, making wrong decisions, only visions of them dividends. Not respecting each other, denying thy brother. A war's going on, but the reason's undercover. The truth is kept secret, it's swept under the rug. If you never know truth, then you never know love. Where's the love, y'all? Come on, I don't know. Where's the truth, y'all? Come on, I don't know. Where's the love, y'all?
People killing, people dying, children hurt and you hear them crying. When you practice what you preach, and would you turn the other cheek? Father, 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 help us, send some guidance from above. These people got me questioning, where is the love? Where is the love? Where is the love?
Where is the love?
I feel the weight of the world on my shoulder. As I'm getting older, your people get colder. Most of us only care about money making. Selfishness got us following the wrong direction. Wrong information always shown by the media. Negative images is the main criteria. Infecting the young minds faster than bacteria. Kids wanna act like what they see in the cinema. Yeah. Whatever happened to the values of humanity? Whatever happened to the fairness and equality? Instead of spreading love, we're spreading animosity. Lack of understanding leading us away from unity. That's the reason why sometimes I'm feeling under. That's the reason why sometimes I'm feeling down. It's no wonder why sometimes I'm feeling under. Gotta keep my faith alive till love is found. Now ask yourself,
Where is the love? Where is the love? Where is the love? Father, 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 help us, send some guidance from above. These people got me questioning, where is the love?
sing with me, y'all.
One word. We only got one word. That's all we got. One word. There's something's wrong with it. There's something's wrong with it. Something's wrong with the good world. Yeah, we only got one word. That's all we got. One word.
What it do, baby boy? Yeah, little mama, you looking good. I see you wanna play with a player from the hood. Come holler at me, you got it like that. Big Snoop Dogg with the lead pussycat. I show you how I go down. Yeah, I wanna throw that. Me and you one-on-one, treat it like a showdown. You look at me and I look at you. I'm reaching for your shirt, what you want me to do?
I'm telling you to loosen up my buttons, baby. But you keep frontin', saying what you gon' do to me. But I ain't seen nothing. I'm telling you to loosen up my buttons, baby. But you keep frontin', saying what you gon' do to me. But I ain't seen nothing. Typical and hardly the type of fucker I like when the physical. Don't leave me asking for more. I'm a sexy mama. Just try to get what I wanna. All I do is spring this on ya. All the things that I told ya. You been saying all the right things all night long, but I can't seem to get you over here to help take this off. Baby, can't you see? These clothes are fitting on me. The heat coming from this beat. I'm about to blow. I don't think you know. I'm telling you to loosen up my buttons, baby. But you keep frontin', saying what you gon' do to me. But I ain't seen nothing. I'm telling you to loosen up my buttons, baby. But you keep frontin', saying what you gon' do to me. But I ain't seen nothing. You say you're a big boy, but I can't agree. 'Cause the love you said you had ain't been put on me. I wonder if I'm just too much
what you want, but I need what I need. Now let me tell you what's cracking like before I proceed. I'm gonna show you where to put it at. PCD on me.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Memorial Coliseum here in the Bluegrass State in Lexington, Kentucky. Logan Rundy alongside Andrew Jamison. Kansas State, good first half, 37-25 advantage, but the Stags punching right back right at the end.
Yeah, definitely. They have had the way in the defensive portion of the game, especially in that latter portion of the second half, holding Kansas State to uncharacteristic Kansas State numbers. I believe they ended the half one of their last 7 from the line. Fairfield's got to get the offense going here. Just 9 of 24. That's 38% for all the math people out home, and 25% from 3. Fairfield's still in this game because Kansas State has not shot Kansas State-like numbers from the three-point range. Just 20% on right, but it is the glaring difference is the rebounding battle right now. 21-11 in favor of Kansas State. Aoka Lee, her return has been a big part of that. She has 4 offensive rebounds herself.
Yeah, Aoka Lee been a force down low for the last, really the whole night. 11 points on the board, 5 rebounds. And on the other side of things, passing the basketball, Serena Sundell's doing what Serena Sundell does.
Absolutely. She has one of the leaders in assists in the country per game at 7.1 seconds. To be more specifically, she's got 5 of them already, but she's efficient in her own right. 6 points, 3 of 3. We know Kansas State can light it up from 3, but the fact that she has established a mid-range and an inside presence has done wonders for Kansas State's offense, giving them another layer and not just one-dimensional from the three-point line.
Absolutely. A well-complete game so far from the Kansas State Wildcats. The Stags have figured it out on defense, but on the offensive side, Andrew, what do the Stags have to do to find themselves with more points than Kansas State by the end of this?
I really think we need to get Aoka Lee out on the perimeter. I know Jeff Mitty is huge on her not really playing an offensive end on the perimeter, but if Fairfield can force her on the perimeter defensively, it can really open doors and cuts into the inside toward the hoop, which can really get high look percentages without a 6'6" presence ready to block it or contest it.
Absolutely. Got to find ways to be a little bit more creative than that first half. Got to find some driving lanes. Driving kick is Fairfield's game. As we talked to Coach Blake Dujanis on Monday, he said last weekend against Quinnipiac in that championship game was Fairfield basketball. Andrew, I don't know about you. The Stags have not played their brand of basketball so far.
No, they have not. It's been heavy turnovers. They have 10 turnovers already. They're trying to play Kansas State style, and that doesn't really translate to success. They need to play their brand of basketball rather than trying to match an opponent. Kansas State is going to put up points in bunches. We know that. Fairfield just needs to stick to their DNA. You need to stay true to yourself and your identity now.
Walker, Glenn, Poindexter, Lee, and Sundell will get it going for the Wildcats, who are now going from east to west. The Stags will take it from west to east. Is Lamro, Magruder, Anderson, Cheyenne. Coe will make the start for the second half, and Nicolete Leite. Sundell guarded by Anderson at the free throw line. Crossover. Sundell looking for an angle. Drop stats. Left-hand layup is good. Nice start for the Wildcats.
Nice separation there from Sundell. Anderson won about 90% of that, just didn't have the final 10.
Coe avoids the travel and his double team in the corner. Trying to throw it off Lee. Can't get it. Gets it back. And a jump ball is called, and it will go to the Kansas State Wildcats because the Stags started the half with possession. Stags, not a great offensive possession to start things here. Getting trapped in the corner.
Yeah, things getting chippy a little bit. Kansas State using the size of their advantage. Fairfield fans not happy behind us.
Nicolete Leite windbound. A circle set here from the Stags. Wildcats goal man coverage. Lamro gets it, guarded by Walker. Coe sets the screen on Walker's left hip. Lamro looking for options, finds Nicolete Leite. Leite looking for Anderson on the roll, but finds Lamro back at the top. Magruder's got 9 to hoist it. Anderson now is going to make her choice. Working on the smaller Walker, uses her body control, and lays it in. Anderson falls to the ground, but lays it in.
Yeah, Fairfield needed that one to get some offensive momentum here. Still down double digits.
Sundell skip pass to Poindexter. Poindexter's 3 too short, and Lee will get another offensive rebound, her 5th. And the foul will be called on Fairfield.
You can see not the best, that unfortunate bounce there was basketball, and Lee was just in the right place at the right time to corral that rebound. Coe commits the foul there. Lee going to the line for 2 more.
Cheyenne Coe picks up her first personal. Fairfield will pick up their first team foul. Lee heads to the line. Not played too much this year, but when she has, she's been absolutely fantastic as she knocks down her first free throw.
There's a reason she's an All-American honoree, just wasn't healthy. That's the only reason she probably was not on that list at the end of the year.
Lee, a right-hand shooter, bounces it twice, spins it once, and hoists with the right hand. Her routine is good, and 2 for 2 from the free throw line. Lamro gets the inbound pass from Megan Anderson. Lamro looking for options now, trying to will her team to a NCAA tournament win, Magruder gets Nicolette on the cut. Nicolette Leite, then to Magruder. Nicolette Leite once more. Adds a third woman in there with Katie Lamro. Lamro gets it to Anderson. Anderson's got 9 to make a decision, then puts it in Nicolette's court. Back screen is taken away. That one by Lee. And Glenn slows it down for the Wildcats.
Don't hate that play. Just Lee is just too big to force it in the paint against her.
Coe gets a turnover and is able to intercept the pass from Poindexter. Magruder, shovel pass to Nicolette Leite. He can't drive on Glenn. Lamro looking for Magruder. Magruder, one-handed pass to Nicolette Leite. Nicolette Leite skips it to Lamro, up fakes and goes. Looked like she got hit, no foul call. Nicolette Leite swings it to Magruder. 8 seconds on the shot clock. Right-hand runner by Katie Lamro, no good, and Lee brings down the rebound.
Yeah, Fairfield's got to get stops here. Now the offense just not where it needs to be right now.
Walker to Sundell. Sundell guarded by the Texan Magruder. Walker looking for Lee, instead finds Glenn, then finds Lee, and beautiful Kansas State basketball leads to a lead layup.
That's just crisp passing there, passing up a good shot for a better shot, taking a play out Fairfield's playbook.
Stags found themselves down 16. Anderson trying to change that. Drives baseline. Good defense by Sundell. Up top, Nicolette Leite. Cyan Coe, the Canadian native, drives right hand, crosses it over. Up fakes on Lee. Steps through. Right hand layup is good. And a foul.
That's fully the first foul on Aoka Lee. It's rarely we've seen Fairfield attack and have success on Lee, but Coe gets the upper hand there, create enough separation to get that shot off.
Substitutions for Jeff Mitty's team. Looks like Sides will check in, the sophomore, as well as Kennedy Taylor, the 6'2 senior. She'll check out. Lee will sit down with Walker. Cyan Coe trying to finish the three-point play. Too strong on the free throw. Got to have it if you're Fairfield, but Poindexter brings it to Sundell. Sundell looking on the cut, gets it to Taylor. Taylor outside. Sundell takes the 24-footer and knocks it down. Sundell bringing the sunshine to Kansas State's offense.
Yeah, Kansas State just has an answer for every Fairfield defensive scheme there. Find the open player. Kansas State didn't man pay.
Nicolette Leite skip pass. Megan Anderson trying to answer back. Air ball.
Definitely rushed that one there was Anderson.
Tipped away by Lamro, trying to get a little bit of a momentum swing, but Selimovic will check in for Cyan Coe. Jill Herder will follow her. She will check in for Isabella Nicolette Leite. Wildcats have ballooned the lead up to 17 points with 6:53 remaining here in the third quarter. Sides gets it into Sundell. Sundell's had a great day so far. Sundell, 11 points, 5 assists. Gets it over to Glenn, knocked away by Scott temporarily, then controls and gets it to Sides. Sides gets it over to Sundell. Sundell drives it herself, then looking for an option. Lamro went to help on the defensive side. Megan Anderson corrals to the floor, and the rebound by Kennedy Taylor, and a Fairfield foul has been called.
Yeah, Taylor just too big there for Megan Anderson to keep up with. She's feeling the effects of that going against that mismatch.
Amanda Selimovic picks up her first personal. Fairfield will pick up their second team foul. Rihanna Brown checks in for some size. Megan Anderson will check out as after a conversation with third-year head coach Carly Thibault-Dudanis. To start things, Sundell will inbound on the Kentucky K on the baseline closest to the Cats band. Sides looking to guard, drive on Lamro. Inside Sundell, inside to Taylor. Taylor lays it in with the right hand. Beautiful offense. And the second straight possession by
rarely have we seen Rihanna Brown mismatch, but she was there as they were going to have a timeout here on the floor.
Coach Carly Thibault-Dudanis uses her second timeout, and Kansas State has hit the track meet. They're up 19 with 6:16 to go.
Yeah, largest lead of the game for the Wildcats here. How have they done it? They have found their groove a little bit offensively here, and they are using the rebounding battle to their advantage. 5-0 this half in favor of Kansas State in terms of rebounding. And this is still without Lee. Taylor has gotten the job done herself in her own right. She has 4 rebounds already and 6 points. And rarely do we see Brianna Brown mismatch. She was a 6th player of the year in the MAC conference and held her own in that Atlantic City tournament. Just hasn't been a great matchup here today against the likes of Lee, Taylor, Poindexter, and whoever's in the paint for the Wildcats.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a win in the trenches for Jeff Nitty's team. And Jeff Nitty has got to be satisfied of not only how his team is playing, but he hasn't had to use Aoka Lee probably as much as he thought he would.
Yeah, no, and for Kansas State, fortunately, they haven't had to. Anytime you can get rest, it is absolutely beneficial. And Kansas State is winning this game in other facets. Is rebounding a big part of this? Absolutely. Is Aoka Lee's presence undeniable? Absolutely. But Fairfield has had moments where they can capitalize. They just haven't, whether it's been from cold three-point shooting or turnovers, which they have 11 now. It just hasn't been a complete team effort where Kansas State is just capitalizing on the Fairfield miscues.
Stags have not pulled down a rebound in the half. They've been out-rebounded 5-0 here in the first few minutes of play. Kansas State's been good all year. Lost in a weird quarterfinal round against West Virginia last week. Not traditional Kansas State basketball. Turned it over a lot. Was not able to get a lot of momentum. The Stags obviously got here through their MAC championship appearance, and so they're kind of going off a high.
And if we go and look at that Big 12 tournament, we mentioned time and time again how deep the Big 12 conference is with the likes of TCU, Baylor, and more, as there are 2 Big 12 teams hosting sites here. Iowa State obviously just lost in the first 4, but the Big 12 is a proven conference, and the strength of schedule, although Fairfield's has been much better compared to last year, the regular brutal strength of schedule for a Big 12 team is coming into play right now as Kansas State is battle tested, and when the brights are light, as Kansas State has been poised, calm, cool, and collected.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely the strength of competition has been a little bit higher for the Big 12 representative in the Kansas State Wildcats. Both teams about to take the floor once more. It'll be Glenn, it'll be Kennedy, it'll be Sundell, Poindexter inside. Fairfield will counter with Jill Herter, Brianna Brown, Katie Lamro, Amina Selimovic, and the junior Sydney Scott, who's wearing 25 in black today. Been a great season so far from these Stags, looking to continue it with just about 16 minutes and 16 seconds remaining to try to make that happen. Sydney Scott will be the inbounder. Lamro will be in the backcourt, guarded by number 11 in purple at his sides, Terrence Sides. This 5'7" sophomore guard, right not too far from here from Webster Groves, Missouri. A lot of Midwest presence here for this Kansas State team, a lot of Northeast presence for the Fairfield team. Lamro will get it going once more. Sides will be helped by Poindexter on the double team. Sides has hit the deck, but doesn't matter. Poindexter is taking it away. 2-on-1, high dribble. Poindexter right hand gets hit in the head and one. Taryn Poindexter, Myra Poindexter has just been absolutely instrumental as she has 7 points here in the second half.
Yeah, and Kansas State is just having their way in the paint here, and you could see Poindexter upset with the ref. Should have been arguing for a flagrant call on Lamrose. I believe she got her in the head. Nonetheless, the bucket is good, and Kansas State has their largest lead of the game, backed by a 7-0 run in the last 1 minute and 10 seconds.
All of Poindexter's points have come here in the second half. 7 of them, that is. Looking for an additional point, and the Stags are running out of chances here. They're down 21 here with 6:04 remaining in the third period. Poindexter trying to complete the three-point play, cannot do so, and Brianna Brown will pull down the rebound. Katie Lamro will cross the timeline with the basketball, as she's done many times prior. Jill Herter with the ball in her hands, right on the R of Memorial on this side of the floor. Katie Lamro, the overhead pass to Brianna Brown, guarded by Kennedy. Selimovic trying to scoop and score. Double team. Beautiful cut by Brianna Brown to give her an option and lays it up with the left hand.
Nice find by Selimovic, not forcing the pass, finding the open Brown.
Kennedy Taylor went to double but couldn't figure it out. On the other side of things, here's Sundell. Sundell guarded by Selimovic. Then Brianna Brown has switched on to her. On this side, gets it inside to Glenn. That is Sides. The 4-footer, no good. Herter volleyball slaps it into Scott's hand to come down with a rebound. 3 bodies hit the floor, 2 for Kansas State, 1 for Fairfield. Selimovic looking for a transition basket and turns it over into Sundell's hand.
That's just the last thing you can do there if you're Selimovic. Another sloppy turnover there.
Sundell will cross midcourt, guarded by Selimovic. Skip pass all the way over. Poindexter trying to add to her total. No good. Brianna Brown tumbles to the floor, but it doesn't matter. 5-on-5 basketball going the other way in transition. Lamro thought about the 3 spider dribbles inside, and the foul is going to go on Taryn Sides. Taryn Sides will pick up her second personal. Kansas State will pick up their second team foul. Aoka Lee will check in after the media timeout. So it hasn't been pretty for the Stags here in the second half. Needed a hot start. Instead, Kansas State is rolling.
Yeah, Kansas State, you're seeing the crisp passing, and it's that selfless play. 13 assists already in the game. This team is averaging 21.4 assists per game. That's second in the nation. That has been on full display here. As Fairfield's defense is playing catch-up, and Kansas State is just passing up a good shot for a better shot and making the Stags pay.
Kansas State almost playing that Fairfield brand of basketball where they're able to get the best shot possible, as you mentioned, Andrew. Got to find some positive bright spots. Your shooting percentage has rose. It is up to 41.4%. However, that 23.5% from three-point land just simply isn't going to get it done.
No, and when we look back on maybe after this game, and you'll wonder what if they make 2 of these threes, maybe this is maybe within striking distance even. I know the deficit is 19, but 41% is still not terrible. It's respectable. But it really has come down to the size, and the 26-14 rebound margin favoring Kansas State. Fairfield is just doing all they can, but it's not enough right now here, and it's not hopeless. It's just the physicality is favoring Kansas State right now.
It is, but let's take a moment. Pass. Today, you saw, Kentucky. Crazier things have happened here, and 19 points is not out of the question by no matter.
No, it is not, and crazier things have happened. Liberty was down by as much as 17, and they only lost by 1. But if there's a time, the time is now, because Kansas State's offense, one of the most prolific in the country and relentless in terms of scoring. Fairfield needs to find their groove sooner rather than later.
Going to be a challenge. Aoka Lee checks back in. She's joined by Taryn Sides, Glenn Sundell, and Samira Poindexter. Fairfield still in the huddle. They're about to break. When they break this huddle, they'll stare down a 19-point deficit here at the University of Kentucky's Memorial Coliseum. Been a wonderful time here at the University of Kentucky. Got a chance to look at some history here. 8 national championships by the men's team. This beautiful facility, again, we mentioned a $90 million renovation. It's really been a crazy experience, Andrew.
It has been. Kentucky is the time to be in March, whether it's Rupp Arena not too far from here or here in the newly renovated Memorial Coliseum. Kentucky is one of the homes of college basketball for a reason, and we are just in the round of 64. Who knows what's going to happen down the stretch?
Absolutely. The men's side of the tournament's being played just 2 miles from here at Rupp Arena in the city of Lexington. Fairfield will counter with Lamro, Selimovic, Sydney Scott, and Cyan Co., and the sophomore transfer student Jill Herder. Herder's been held scoreless so far. Trying to inbound, Herder has 5 points. Sydney Scott trying to get a 3-pointer to go. Good draw up. Not successful though. Selimovic will get the foul called, and a sounds of disdain by the Fairfield faithful right behind us here at Memorial Coliseum.
And I know the urgency and the desperation factor is kicking in. You can see Selimovic wanting to make a momentum-changing play. Just the referee was not happy with it and decided to blow the whistle.
Sides gets it into Sundell to Glenn. Inside, Aoka Lee uses her height once more, and it rattles home. Aoka Lee doing what Aoka Lee does best.
Kansas State just going to what works, and that's finding Aoka Lee in the paint.
Lamro crosses over on side. Selimovic cutting the helper this time. A little bit of a circus shot by Lamro. Really good effort, and her and Sides are going at it here on the baseline.
Yeah, and this is the type of game. Everyone wants to win. Everyone's going to leave it all on the court. As Kansas State is going to make a substitution here, as it will be Walker checking in for Poindexter. But that's the thing. Kansas State's replacing a 6-foot player with another 6-foot player. Fairfield doesn't have that luxury right now, and it's evident in stats and on the score.
Again, Ko is the tallest woman on the floor right now at 6 foot even. Ko gets it in. Sydney Scott gets it over to Selimovic. The spacing's poor as Ko gets it at the top, and Herder. Ko sets the screen on Glenn's hip. Herder steps it back, and gets it to Sydney Scott. Fakes the pass and launches the three-pointer instead, and Herder can't get it down. Sides looking to push the other way. Selimovic isn't even looking. Inside, Aoka Lee double team at the point, and it's successful. Sydney Scott gets the turnover, and Lamro going the other way. Chest pass, Cyan Co. inside, outside to Sydney Scott to Lamro. Guarded by Sides, Jill Herder. Herder thought about the three-pointer. Sides has switched on to her. Backs her down all the way to the paint. Looking for the right-hand layup to go. No good. Sides good defense, and a good rebound by Glenn.
Yeah, too many dribbles, I feel like, for the Stags offense right now. Not enough passing.
Sundell guarded by Co. Inside, Lamro has been switched on to by Lee, and that's not a good matchup. Sides gets Herder to fly by, side steps, and knocks it down, and fires in another three. Terrence Sides has been instrumental so far. Selimovic trying to counter and can't get it. Rebound to Cyan Co.
You can see the overzealousness by the Stags.
Sydney Scott trying to answer. That's three missed in that possession by Fairfield.
All of the last 6 now from the field are the Stags. 1 of their last 8, 2.5 minute scoring drought.
Megan Anderson, Kendall Magruder will check back in at the next stoppage. Looks like Sanchez will check back in for Jeff Nitty's team. Sundell inside, Aoka Lee. Lee outside. One more to Glenn at the top. Gets Lamro to fly by. Chest pass, Sides trying to go back-to-back. And knocks it down. 2 of the last 2, and she's got something to say to Katie Lamro, and she should.
Yeah, Kansas State just proving they're the better team on paper right now, as the stats don't lie.
27-point deficit for Fairfield here with 2.5 minutes remaining. Selimovic trying to cut that down. Her patent fadeaway, no good. And Lee corrals the rebound. Walker, chest pass, Sides. Gets past Selimovic, then to Sundell. Sundell blows by Selimovic on the baseline. One more to Glenn, left wing three-pointer. And 3 of the last 3 is Kansas State. And the only option is for Coach Carly to call her third timeout.
Yeah, Fairfield can't buy a bucket. Kansas State can't miss a bucket. 11-0 run over the last 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Kansas State has blown this game open, and it's deja vu for the Stags, as it was last year in Indiana where the middle of the third quarter, Sarah Scalia went on a heater. Right now it's the combination of Terrence Sides and Sundell.
Kansas State has inflated their lead up to 30 points. The Stags have only just 31 points on the board. I mean, really, it's just been all Kansas State here today. However, the Fairfield Stags are doing everything they can. It just might be a little bit of a skill difference if you're Fairfield.
And this is where strength of schedule pays great dividends. Fairfield played the likes of Villanova, Arkansas, Wake Forest, and St. John's. However, Kansas State in the Big 12 Conference, with more than just under half of the teams in the conference represented in March Madness, you are seeing that this is familiar territory, and Kansas State is the more polished team right now.
Sanchez and Lester will check back in, 30 and 32 in white and purple today. Nicolette Leite will check back in for Fairfield, as well as Megan Anderson. Nicolette Leite looking to get around the Selimovic screen, and does. Selimovic to Kendall Magruder. Magruder looking for options, can't find any until she finds Anderson in the left corner right in front of the Fairfield bench. Anderson, stagnant offense so far for Fairfield. Anderson, just the spacing, can't get it as Nicolette Leite gets in her way, and it's a traveling violation. It's another Fairfield turnover.
Yeah, you can see Fairfield has had nothing easy for the majority of the game here, just already their 14th turnover.
Sundell will cross the timeline with 1 minute and 45 seconds remaining in the third period. Guarded by the Texan Magruder. Sydney Scott will then guard Glenn. Glenn uses the right hand. Not good spacing by Kansas State. They have 3 women on the right side of the floor. Sanchez gets it to the only person on the left side of the floor. That's Walker. Walker gets it to Sanchez. Then gets it to Sundell. 7 to shoot. Sundell drives, right hand. No, and the foul is called. It is a block on Selimovic. Selimovic will pick up her third personal, and the Stags will pick up their 15th foul.
You can see Brianna Brown check into the scorekeeper's table now. Kansas State just willing their way physically to what could be a blowout victory for the Wildcats. Winner of this game will face the Kentucky Wildcats on Sunday in the round of 32 after their throwing victory over Liberty.
Sundell steps up to the line, rattles in and out, and a missed free throw. Still a 30-point advantage for Kansas State. 1 minute 24 remaining here in the third quarter. Sundell hoists the second, knocks it down, splits the pair from the line, and pushes the lead to 31. Brianna Brown inbounds to Nicolette Leite, who's guarded full court by Gisela Sanchez, the 6'4 junior from Barcelona, Spain. Magruder shovel pass to Nicolette Lady right in front of our table here on the right wing. Nicolette Lady, Magruder trying to get a three-pointer to the land. Just can't get it. Too strong. Rattles around, and Glenn corrals the rebound and gets it to Walker going in transition. Walker then slows it down. Chest pass inside. Sundell in transition, lays it up with the left hand, and Sundell's been red hot. She's up to 14 points.
This offense is dynamic and relentless, to say the least. Everyone knows their spots. Everyone knows who to pass to and get the bucket.
Sydney Scott looking to counter with a three-pointer. Too strong, and the rebound goes to Sanchez. Stags trying to do everything they can to shoot themselves back in it, but nothing has fallen so far. Sundell uses the Sanchez screen set on Magruder. And Anderson switches on. Here's Glenn. There's Walker. Walker to Lester. Walker behind the back dribble. Then a crossover. Pretty move. Right-hand layup is good. Pure filth from Ziana Walker.
Yeah, and everyone from Kansas State is loving it. There's no movement on Fairfield, but it's a tale of two teams that are going in opposite directions right now.
Shot clock has been turned off. 13 seconds remaining. Kansas State up 35. Nicolette Leite will use the Rayana Brown screen set on Walker's right hip. Nicolette Leite's got a hoist in 4, 3, 2. Magruder from the logo. It's deflected by Sanchez and caps off an excellent quarter by Kansas State. And Fairfield's really got to find something down the stretch here if they want any chance to play on Sunday.
And that quarter was all Kansas State. I don't have the exact lopsided third quarter stats that we did, but if we look at the split box here, 29-6 in favor of Kansas State that quarter. You can see more specifically a 16-0 run over the 429, 23-2 over the last 7-14. Fairfield, on the other hand, 5:42-minute scoring drought. Those two directions have blown this game wide open as Kansas State is up and lively, and Fairfield can't do anything but watch.
Kansas State has scored over 16 points in every quarter so far. The Stags have been held just to single digits 2 out of 3 quarters. The only exception is that 16-point second quarter. Stags over the last 10 from the floor, a lot of three-pointers. Do you think that's the recipe for success getting back into this game, Andrew, or is it something different?
I think at this point you got to play for pride. I will say, you got to represent Stag basketball and go back to your DNA. Chucking threes just to chuck threes and try to get back into this game, more likely than not, won't work, as we're having somewhat of a mascot dance-off here, but it really has been an unfortunate case for the Stags today, as the offense has not been at the level that they expected, nor did we expect.
Yeah, we were able to attend practice yesterday. It looked like everything was going well. Stags were red hot from the floor, even in their 5-on-5 transition drills. Being able to put that in the game, though, today has not worked out well for them so far. Stags 28-4 this year, 19-1 in the MAC conference, 6-3 in non-conference. You would have thought winning 6 out of your 9 games in non-conference would have been helpful on a day like today, but it hasn't proved to be that way so far.
And this is the step that Fairfield needs to take. They've made the tournament in back-to-back years. However, this is where strength of schedule comes into huge play. Time by time again, the MAC is not the greatest overall conference. The Big 12 is one of the most proven conferences. There's a reason why. And, in order to take that next step, MAC championships to some degree only means so much in terms of momentum. You need to make noise in the tournament. Unfortunately, Fairfield has not done that quite yet here. They need to end on a high note here and just play for pride and go back to themselves in Fairfield basketball and play the way that they've gotten here.
Absolutely. Not to take away from Kansas State at all. They've been absolutely fantastic so far. Have upped their shooting percentage to 52% overall and their three-point percentage to 38%. And they're getting to the line as well. Being able to be 8 for 10 from the line is big time, especially playing in this tournament. Any free points you can get is going to be instrumental moving forward.
Yeah, and absolutely. And, you got to play for pride, as I mentioned. This result is not indicative of the strides that Fairfield women's basketball today. Does it add more motivation for the future? Absolutely. Fairfield has a great recruiting class coming in, including Christine Pham, who is Massachusetts Gatorade Player of the Year recently announced. Kiara Gregory will be playing next year. She's a redshirt freshman right now, but she will start playing. Carly Fisher will be back next year. There's a lot of promising signs for the Stags here. However, there has to be feeling it's a mixed bag right now. You're proud of the season you've had, but you've also wanted to do more.
Yeah, and if you're Coach Carly, you got to find ways to get momentum done here in this final period, right? You want to have a good transition period, as you mentioned, into next season. great season so far. Winning 28 basketball games in any league here in Division I is definitely a challenge. To start the fourth quarter, they're going to bring out Nicolette Letse, Katie Lamro, Kendall Magruder, Rayana Brown, and MAC tournament player of the week last week. That was Megan Anderson. She won it after her 27-point performance last Saturday against Quinnipiac. On the other side of things, Glenn will check back in with Walker, and they'll have Lester, Sanchez, and then you have the addition of Eliza Maupin as well, who's only played a minute so far, but has been able to make an impact. A little bit of a second-string look from Jeff Mitty's team. No need to run the starters at this point, just because of your advantage, which is 35, as the fourth quarter is underway. Walker crosses the timeline, gets it to Glenn, who's guarded by Magruder. Glenn gets it to Lester. Lester, dribble handoff with Walker. Walker working one-on-one with Lamro, then gets it to Sanchez. Sanchez looking to get it inside to Lester. Good defense by Rayana Brown. Nicolette Letse working in transition. Magruder thought about the three-pointer, instead drives to the right hand. And a foul was called on Glenn, a little bit of a push on Magruder, so a good start to the period for Fairfield.
Yeah, you can see Coach Carley trying to stay positive and willing this team to finish this game strong. You know, the game hasn't gone their way, but you got to stay positive. That's part of being a D1 athlete.
Nicolette Letse, lollipop pass into Lamro, then gets it to Magruder, who launches a three-pointer. Can't get it to go, and it's been like that all day for Kendall Magruder, as she is just 1 for 4 from the three-point arc. Walker gets it inside. Lester, Walker working on Lamro, one-on-one in front of the Kansas State bench. Glenn corrals it on the logo of University of Kentucky. Lester, Glenn sets a good screen. That is Lester, but knocked again in back-to-back possessions by Rayana Brown. Lamro going the other way. Anderson, Rayana Brown catches at the top, and Lester just runs over Katie Lamro. Lester will pick up her first personal, the team's second of the quarter. Fairfield looking to get some momentum here. Maybe that 35-point comeback is coming. We never know. Nicolette Letse will inbound on the east side of the building on the Kentucky second K. Nicolette Letse bounce pass into Lamro, looking for options. Megan Anderson's calling for it. Instead, a beautiful back cut by Rayana Brown, and gets an easy layup for two.
Yeah, nice job by Fairfield there. They're struggling from three. They got to go back to the paint. Rayana Brown has been their best paint presence this season. Nice play there.
Able to cut the lead to 33 for the Kansas State Wildcats. Behind the back is Walker, working on Lamro, then gets it to Glenn. Then gets it to Sanchez. Inside, Maupin catches and shoots it in the same motion and knocks it in on the left side of the glass.
Kansas State height on full display from top to bottom. Maupin is absolutely using the height to her advantage there.
The officials say that it's too much contact. That's Nicole Leone that made the call on Glenn, who said her arm was extended too much. Anderson checks out. Taryn Sides will check in, as well as Sundell. Lauren Beach, the senior from Medway, Massachusetts, will check in for her first run today. Katie Lamro, shovel pass to Nicolette Letse, looking for a three-pointer now. Too strong, and the rebound goes to Sanchez. Sides going in transition. Nicolette Letse, the only one back, but Lamro able to corral herself on the way back, but turns it over into Sundell. Sundell keeps the offensive possession alive for the Wildcats. Then gets it to Lester, then up top to Taryn Sides. And a foul was called on Fairfield. That foul is going to go, looks like, on Katie Lamro. Katie Lamro will pick up her second personal, the team first of the quarter. And a knockdown three-pointer from Taryn Sides. Sides, it's another three.
You can see the team's frustrated there, just miscommunication. Emotions getting the better of the Stags right now.
Nicolette Letse, Magruder, Beach to Lamro. Lamro to Nicolette Letse. One-handed pass to Brown. Magruder looking on the curl, doesn't get it. Then Lamro gets it. She's got 10 to get working. Then gets it to Magruder, who launches the left corner three-pointer off the front iron, and Sanchez gets a good rebound.
Yeah, Magruder struggling bad from three, 1 of 5, and team just not much better, 4 of 27.
Sundell, chest pass over to Walker. Sundell gets it to Sides, who gets it to Lester. Sides on a good back cut, good defense. Third deflection in 5 possessions for Rayana Brown. Left-hand layup from Lamro is good. Good transition bucket from Fairfield.
Yeah, Fairfield's showing great tenacity on the defensive end this fourth quarter. You know, albeit it's not the main players for Kansas State, you have to give credit for them hanging tough and fight until the end.
Beach looking to guard Sundell. Sundell will back Beach down. Double team by Nicolette Leite. That forces sides to be open for another three-pointer. This time it doesn't go down. Lester gets it to Walker. How about sides one more time from the same spot? Same result, misses. Lester tips it out again. It's like deja vu here for the Wildcats in Fairfield.
That was literally the exact same play.
Walker drives with the right hand on Lamro, lays it up with the left, can't get it to go. Nicolette Leite working in transition, 4-on-4 basketball in the half court. Now 5-on-5 as Walker and Lamro join the play. Lamro thought about the three-pointer. Stagnant offense for Fairfield. Now a little bit of motion. Lamro trying to do it herself, and the foul is called on Walker. Walker will pick up her second personal, the team's fifth of the quarter. Selimovic, Sydney Scott will check in. Magruder Brown will check out. That is Rayana Brown. Lester will check out for Jeff Mitty's team. Into the game is Taylor. That's Kennedy Taylor. Kennedy Taylor checking in for her fourth stint. The 6'4 senior from Shawnee Mission, Kansas. Lamro will go to the line for two. Her third trip to the free throw line this evening. Lamro, two dribbles and releases with the right hand. In and out. No, can't get it to go. Ovich, Beach, Sydney Scott, and Lamro will be the 5-4. And Nicolette Leite will be the 5. Lamro splits the pair. Checking in is Tamira Poindexter. And Glenn will check in, and Sanchez and Walker will check out. Sundell, Taylor, Glenn, and Poindexter for Kansas State. Beach, Lamro, Nicolette Leite, Scott, Selimovic for Fairfield. Sundell crosses the timeline, gets it to Glenn, and to Poindexter. That's Tamira Poindexter. Then gets it to Sundell. That's Serena Sundell. Sundell rips and goes, working on the smaller Nicolette Leite. Right-hand layup is pure. Beautiful move by Serena Sundell.
Just everything's going Kansas State ways right now. Sundell up to 16, 7 of 8 from court.
Nicolette Leite finds Lamro, who gets inside on the SEC logo, then has to turn it around and works it back out to Nicolette Leite on the right side of the court and gets it to Lamro, who launches a 24-foot three-pointer. Just nicks the iron. Sydney Scott runs it down in the corner to Selimovic. And a timeout is called by Carly Tebow Dudonis to save the possession. Coach Carly Tebow only has one timeout remaining.
73-36 is our score. 5:33 to go here. Look at a deeper dive into the analytics for Fairfield. 31% shooting on 14% from 3. That is 14% 4 of 28, 67% from the line, 15 turnovers. Kansas State has 13 turnovers, but a majority of them have been in the fourth quarter as Fairfield, as you mentioned, forced 3 steals in those 5 possessions in that span in the fourth quarter here. But let's look at the rebounding margin. That is really the story of the game, and it has blown the game open for Kansas State to some degree. 39-17 in favor of the Wildcats, 14 of those being on the offensive rebound. It really just has been as good as you could expect from Coach Jeff Timme.
Absolutely. Coach Mitty's team, his associate head coach is Abani Gillum. And then Abani Halliburton, Stacy Giorgio-Foss are his counterparts as well. So a great production here for Kansas State here on the road here in Kentucky. Not too far of a travel. And Kansas State is showing up pretty good here. You see some of the team managers. They probably have about a whole section worth of fans here. Fairfield done pretty good themselves for that 8-hour commute. They have a whole section behind our table here that is located on the camera side and the right side of your screen if you're watching on a different platform. Again, we thank you so much, and I think we should take this time to thank all of our administration for being here and allowing us to take this opportunity, from Ivy Spate to Paul Schlickman to Zach Dayton to our president, Mark Nemick, and to my counterpart, Andrew Jameson, for making this trip absolutely possible for us and living our reality here in Lexington. It's been an absolute fantastic experience so far. Hopefully it can continue here at Memorial Coliseum. It's looking a little bit grim, but how can Fairfield, Andrew, figure out a way to get some momentum going into next season?
Well, it's got to be a matter of ending this game strong. You know, we do live in a results-based industry, and I was talking about this with Chase Coburn yesterday on the Cool Sports Network. Be sure to subscribe to him. He is doing an absolute phenomenal job and well beyond his years. People look at results. They want to go to a winning culture. It's why the likes of Sydney Scott, Brianna Brown came here. And Fairfield just needs to hang tough, hold their own, and show glimpses of promise here, because now Fairfield is in a position where they are one of the more prominent players in the MAC, but the urgency factor is to take that next step and to compete with some higher mid-majors and even some Power 4 teams. They do have victories over some Power 4 teams and high mid-majors. Fairfield just needs to show that they are willing and continuing to keep making strides forward despite these two back-to-back NCAA losses more likely than not.
Sydney Scott, Isabella Nicoleti-Lete, Katie Lamroth, Amina Selimovic, Lauren Beach are the 5 for Coach Carly Thibault-Dudonis and her staff. She's accompanied by Eric Johnson, Erica Brown, and Blake Dudonis as her partners in this journey. Taylor will be in with Sundell. Sides will be in there with Pondexter and Glenn. The horn has sounded here. Sydney Scott will be the inbounder who gets it to Lamroth to get us underway with 5:31 remaining. Lamroth trying to get it inside to Selimovic. Wild pass picked off by Poindexter. Poindexter takes it the other way. Shovel pass to Sundell, then gets it to sides. Inside, side was looking for Taylor on the post up, but good job by Lauren Beach to force a turnover.
Yeah, you can see Beach, her playing time has decreased as the seasons got on, but one of the leaders and captains on this Stags team whose presence is undeniable.
Lamroth looking to drive on sides through the legs, gets it out to Scott. Scott gets it to the free throw line. Up fake and go from Selimovic from the left corner, looking to get something to go. Fades away to that patented shot, rattles around, but Sides corrals the rebound. Sides side by side with Poindexter. Glenn, beautiful move. 4-foot floater is pure. Glenn just got Lauren Beach to go away from her.
Yeah, that puts Glenn in double digits now with 10 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. Great all-around effort from her today.
Nicoleti-Lete gets the flare. Selimovic thought about the three-pointer. Will drive it instead. All the way to the left corner. One-handed pass. Sydney Scott. Sydney Scott looking for options. Guarded by Glenn. Selimovic will launch the three-pointer from the left wing and knock it down. Mina Selimovic knocks down her second three-pointer.
Much needed there for the Bosnian Barbie, as her teammates like to call her. She's up to 8.
On the other side of things, here's Glenn. Glenn inside. That's to Sundell, who's posted up Beach 20 feet from the basket. Inside, Taylor with the right hand is good. Katie Lamroth couldn't get over the help quick enough, and it's in. Lamroth trying to push the pace the other way. Lamroth finds Sydney Scott. Scott on the right wing, guarded by Serena Sundell. Lamroth then gets it, who's guarded by sides. Then Nicoleti-Lete. Lamroth sets the screen on Poindexter. Nicoleti-Lete rises from the free throw line. Couldn't get it to go. Lauren Beach will corral the rebound. And Lamroth will start over the offense. 2 crossovers on sides. And a miscommunication as the ball flies past our table. And Lamroth has turned it over once more.
Just too many of those there today, as that's now the 18th turnover for the Stags against a high-quality opponent like the Kansas State Wildcats. You got to make error-free, and the margin for error is very low for the basketball, and it has just not been an ideal in many categories for the Stags today.
Malpin has checked in for Kansas State. My apologies. For the Stags, it's been Herder and Co. that have checked in. Inside, Sundell, pretty spin move on Selimovic and gets it to go down. It's a beautiful move by Sundell.
Sundell is not your typical guard. She is taller than Megan Anderson and Brianna Brown, and she is as versatile as a guard as they come.
Selimovic looking to get the inbound, the entry pass, that is. Selimovic then will kick it out to Nicoleti-Lete, guarded by Walker, who just checked in. Herder then gets it to Selimovic, to Sydney Scott. Co gets in her hand. She's got 8 to hoist it. Herder gets it with 6 on the shot clock. Got to find a way. 2-1, turns it over. Walker corrals it. Nicoleti-Lete trying to chase it down. Walker elevates and knocked away by Nicoleti-Lete. Malpin's got it.
Good poke.
Glenn Sundell for 3. Too strong. Nicoleti-Lete corrals another rebound. Nicoleti-Lete crosses the timeline. Kendall Magruder will check in at the next stoppage. Never mind, that is, she will head back to the bench. As Nicoleti-Lete has it on the logo. That's Meg Anderson that will check in for Magruder. Selimovic working on Walker. And Terrence Sides came to help. Selimovic outside. Sydney Scott launches a three-pointer. barely grazes the rim on the right side, and Sundell runs it down. 2 minutes, 22 seconds remaining here at Memorial Coliseum on the University of Kentucky's main campus. Sundell gets it two sides, who's had a great day from three. Glenn, two sides to Sundell. Sides looking to catch it out to Walker. Her three-pointer, too strong. Ran down by Glenn for the Wildcats and turned over temporarily, but it goes off of Cheyenne Coe's leg. Sanchez will check back in. Megan Anderson will check back in for Fairfield. Sanchez checks in for Glenn. Glenn, 10 points. Riley Glenn will check in as well. Number 4, that is her sister. Riley Glenn will be the inbounder. Selimovic will check out for the final time, as well as Nicoletti Leite. Two excellent careers in Fairfield uniforms and in other places as well. Cheyenne Coe gets it to Katie Lamro. Lamro crosses the timeline. With the clock ticking under 2 minutes. Sydney Scott trying to get a three-pointer to go. Can't get it. And Maupin gets the rebound.
Yeah, good board there by Maupin.
Inside, Walker, guarded by Lamro. Sides trying to get another three-pointer to go. And caps off a beautiful Kansas State game. And that will be the exclamation point if you're Coach Jeff Mitty's team. Scott to Herter to Coe. Anderson looking to curl. The foul will go on Serena Sundell. Sundell will pick up her first personal. Kansas State will pick up their 16th foul. And it's been a great year here at WVOF. It's still continuing, though. We have coverage of our spring sports that will start back up next week. Really fun experience. We appreciate everybody that's been listening to us this entire season as Anderson hoists the first free throw and knocks it down. Megan Anderson's put together a decent game, up to 5 points now. Hasn't shot it too much.
No, and Fairfield's been trying to do too much with too many people, I feel like.
Anderson knocks down the free throw. Her total is up to 6 now. Serena Sundell will cross the timeline with 1 minute and 20 remaining here as Kansas State eyes another victory in the NCAA tournament. Outside, that's Sanchez that'll launch from three. Too strong. Maupin brings down the rebound. Gets it out to Sundell. Sundell inside to Sanchez, who was wide open for a second. Good defense. Maupin puts it up and one. Maupin lays it in, and she'll go to line for an additional free throw.
Yeah, and you can see this Kansas State having their way once again. Make that now 17 offensive rebounds for the Wildcats. Almost as many rebounds as Fairfield has, both on the offensive and defensive end today.
Maupin wearing the 21 in white and purple. She will shoot her free throw. It is good. Kansas State up to 85 points. It is a 44-point deficit as the Stags have only posted 41 here at Memorial Coliseum.
1 minute remaining.
Lamro with 1 minute to go, drives right hand, trying to find options. She finds Jill Herter. Jill Herter overhead pass to Megan Anderson. Anderson looking for ways to get more points on the board, and her team a little bit closer. Sydney Scott to Katie Lamro, who's guarded by Maupin, to Anderson. Lamro will drive herself now on Maupin. Lamro lays it up with the left hand. Nothing but straight backboard. Coe will save it, and a shot clock violation by Fairfield. 3 seconds, just about 3 seconds, 3.6, give it, between the separation between the shot and game clock. 32.6 on the game clock, 30 on the shot clock. Sides will be the inbounder right on the first Kentucky K, next to our photography crew from Fairfield University. Looks like a little bit of a time check has happened, and it has now been increased, 35.7 seconds on the game clock, 30 on the shot clock. Sides will inbound to Sundell. All she has to do is cross the timeline and get a shot up once more to seal the victory. Then the timeline has been checked. Anderson will guard. Just going to dribble it out here, Sundell. Then she's going to make a move, but still about 40 feet from the basket still. Anderson went for the steal, couldn't get it. Sides sets the screen. Sides will have it. Looks like they're going to take a shot clock violation. Sundell will do just that. And they're going to save 4.6 on the clock. And Kansas State is eyeing an opening round victory. They will take on Kentucky on Sunday here at Memorial Coliseum. Jill Herter will inbound for the final time this season. Katie Lamro will cross the timeline. Maybe one more shot for the Stags. one, and it's just going to be dribbled out. Kansas State has been victorious. It is a 44-point stop of Fairfield, 85 points. Kansas State, that electric offense definitely showed throughout this one, Andrew.
And if you learned anything from today, it's that Kansas State is not a 5 seed. Kansas State is more likely a 2 or a 3 seed. Obviously, the injury to Aoka Lee was detrimental as they were only a 500 team with her off the court. But this team got it done on all facets today. Lee didn't need to play as much as she did. And who got the job done for Kansas State? It was Sundell. It was Sides. It was a little bit of everybody. And Kansas State just used a plethora of factors from their height to their three-point shooting ability, to their rebounding, to their advantage, and a dominant opening round victory for the Kansas State Wildcats.
Well, it'll be a Wildcat battle on Sunday, but for here at WVOF, it's been an absolute pleasure. I just want to give a quick shout-out to my partner here, Andrew Jameson, man. He has made everything happen for us this year, and he's done an excellent job of really making everything work for us here. Got us here to Kentucky, our higher administration that I thanked earlier. I'm probably missing somebody, but I just want to say thank you to the Fairfield community. I'm going to say thank you to my family, man, the support that's been coming through our staff. Chase Coburn, who's been with us all season, got to see him yesterday on Zoom-ish, if you will, an excellent creator of Fairfield content, more just generally basketball content. Andrew, I'm going to give you before I sign this off.
Yeah, and give credit where credit is due to everybody. This team for an unforgettable ride as the emotions are pouring out here now, as we want to thank our seniors and this team for an unforgettable ride. Back-to-back MAC champions. Once again, this result is not indicative of the season this team has had. And obviously, clearly a disappointing day today, but you have to be happy to be a Fairfield Stags fan. And just want to give a quick shout-out to everybody on our staff who has put countless hours in, from the likes of Kyle Scannell, Chris Bocari, Nolan Heffelfinger, and so many more. I could go on. It really is not possible in us being here without all of them. It's a collective team effort here, and it's only going to go up from here. So from Andrew Jameson and Logan Rundy, it's been a pleasure to cover Fairfield basketball for the 2024-2025 campaign, and on to spring sports, where everything is exciting right now. So with that being said, go Stags. Have a good night.